Hello guys, my name is Rizky from acreativealt, and in this video I'm not going to talk about camera, but I want to talk about an important journey that I've been pursuing lately, and it's the journey of losing weight and be healthy. And I actually recorded a video when I started the journey last year. For all my friends who have known me for years, you know that I've been fat for my entire adult life. I didn't plan to record this video actually, but I just want to record the video as a milestone of my progress. Also trying to motivate myself not to stop on the journey. And I'm hoping this video can actually motivate some of my friends who have been having the same problem as me, and just a bit of tips for you to start your journey. And of course, you all know that I'm just a creative guy. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a dietitian. So do your own research. This is just my opinion based on my own experience. I've been doing many different types of weight loss programs. I tend to lose small amount of weight. Every time I fail my program, I actually gain even more weight. I used to be in a calorie restricted diet that I really hate. You know, like in the past, I was actually restricting the amount of calories I take. I think I was on the 1005 calories a day diet, and I have to eat 5 times, which is a really hard thing to do in my lifestyle. As you may have known, I've always been in the events line, and it's really hard to find time to actually do 5 meals a day, because if I were to start in events, I only have probably one lunchtime. So ended up I actually eaten a lot of bad things, like all the processed food, like those energy bar, which is actually high on sugar, but I choose it because it's fast. So I realized that those diets doesn't actually fit my lifestyle. So far, I have good progress with the combinations of keto and intermittent fasting. I was actually on keto for a couple of months, and I managed to lose 10 kg before I start plateauing. Another good friend of mine recommended me to go for intermittent fasting. Now I'm actually doing 4 days of OMAD diet, 1 meal a day diet, and 3 days of intermittent fasting, 4 hours of intermittent. And I managed to bring my weight down from 118 to 94. So I just want to give a bit of tips for you to start. And the reason why I think intermittent fasting is the best solution for me is the fact that I am actually trying to do this journey not just because of the looks or cosmetics, but I'm really trying to be healthier. Being obese for so many years, you have a lot of issues inside, high blood pressure, fatty liver, and so on and so forth. So the concept of intermittent fasting, it's really interesting because the fact that it actually gives your organ a bit of rest, which is totally different compared to the 5 meal a day diet, because technically your organ will actually keep working, which I think is not ideal for what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying which diet is better. What I'm saying is you should probably try it out and see which one works the best for you. Here are a few tips for you to start your weight loss journey based on my own experience. So my first tip is actually to start slowly. Being someone who has been overweight for 20 years, I always have this up and down kind of trend on my diet. I lost a little bit, I gain a lot. I lost a little bit, I gain a lot. So I know that this is actually like a marathon. I start to understand myself really well. In order for me to be able to do it in the long run, I have to do it gradually. In the past, I was so depressed when a dietitian actually mentioned that you cannot eat this, you cannot eat this, you cannot eat this, you cannot eat this. All my favorite food, I basically can't eat those anymore, which I think is really depressing. So instead of doing that now, I do a gradual cut down. I started by cutting on sugar, which is the easiest thing to do because I don't even like sweet stuffs in the first place. I never into like carbonated drinks or those gassy drinks, and I don't really drink beer or whatsoever, so it's pretty easy for me to cut down on sugary drinks. But I do have one drink that I like in the past, which is a bottled iced coffee. Of course, that has a lot of sugar, so I replaced that with just a homemade coffee instead. And once I get used to no sugary drinks, I went into keto, so I removed carbs. When I started intermittent fasting, I started with an 8 hours eating window, which is actually pretty easy. Technically, the easiest thing is actually just to simply not to eat breakfast. Of course, we've been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which is probably just a marketing gimmick. Now, after so many different researchers, I do agree that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but you don't have to eat breakfast in the morning, basically when you actually break your fasting. Based on research, the first meal that you eat after your fasting is actually the one that gets absorbed the most. So If I were to do what I used to do in the past, I eat a lot of bread in the morning, or like our favorite curry puff or whatsoever, all the carbs that you will actually keep the most, which is of course a really bad thing if you are trying to lose weight. I cut my 3 meals into 2 meals a day. So once I get used to that lifestyle, I bring down the eating windows into 6 hours. I take my lunch at about 1 p.m. and my dinner at about 5 p.m. Once you get used to it, it's actually quite easy to do. So then I bring down that eating window further to 4 hours. I still try to avoid carbs as much as possible, but I do eat carbs once in a while. But even if I eat carbs, it will just be worth half a portion of rice. Once I get used to the 4 hours of intermittent fasting window, I bring down to 1 meal a day diet. It's actually not as hard as it sounds, because although you only eat 1 meal, but you can actually eat a lot of things within that eating window. I normally eat about almost close to 2 portions of meal within that one eating window period. So that is what I've been doing for a while. So basically, start slowly and gradually increase the difficulty level. Like just like playing a game, you level up. So once you level up, you can actually do something a little bit more difficult. And some people actually ask me, when you do your 1 meal a day, do you snack? And my answer is definitely not, because it will actually break my fasting. Even if you decided to snack, just make sure it's actually within that particular eating window. My second tips is actually to think about what you're going to eat beforehand. And of course, now most of us are actually working from home, so it's much easier for us to plan what we are going to eat, since we are actually eating at home anyway. Me and my wife have been eating catered food, so we know exactly what we are going to eat during the day. So for my job, I used to travel around to meet people or actually have a shoot somewhere. And of course, if I visit certain places, I will see things that are nice and I will just buy it. I tend to buy too much when I do that. So by planning your meal beforehand, it will be easier for you to actually plan on the diet for the day. My next tip is actually to reduce your consumption of fruits. And I know, like, it sounds weird, like when you want to be healthy, fruits is like always be in the list of things that you need to eat. Currently, fruits has a lot of sugar inside. A lot of the fruits that we like are mostly sugary. I'm talking about bananas, oranges, apples, watermelon, whatsoever. All the popular foods are high in sugar. I was planning for a while, and I realized that I was still taking a lot of fruits. I always like to, like pass by after the gym, I will buy fruit juice. I cut down those, and seems like after that my weight start to go down again. And of course, the packaged juice are even worse. Lastly, be patient. When I started my journey slightly more than 1 year ago, I was actually expecting that I'll be in my ideal weight in 6 months. And of course, now it's really 1 year plus, and I still haven't reached my ideal weight just yet. Something that you probably need to manage your expectations a little bit, because if you are like me, you've been overweight, obese for 20 years, you won't be able to fix it in. So just be patient, just make sure that you don't stop and there are still progress. It's better to have slow progress and sustainable rather than something drastic but you can't even maintain it. And just an additional opinion from me, when you are starting weight loss program, I think you should be concentrating on the diet first instead of your exercise, because a lot of people believe that 80% of your weight loss is actually from your diet instead of your exercise. Throughout my weight loss journey, it is much easier to lose weight based on changing your diet rather than exercise. There was one time in my life whereby I was going to the gym every day, and I used to jog back home from my office 3 times in a week, 7 km to 8 km walk. But I didn't change my diet. You can see a little bit of muscle growth, but the fats and everything is still there. When you cut your diet, you will see more drastic changes. You're actually lighter. It's much easier to do exercise. Those are just my opinion based on what I've experienced so far, and I really thank you for all my friends who have supported me in this particular journey. I really hope for some of my friends who has the same problem as me, I hope this can be a good start for you. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.